Hi, I'm Scott, and in this video, I'm going to talk about the judge kick argument and why I'm not really a fan. So many judges, when they judge debates, have what I refer to as defaults. What this means is it's basically something that the judge believes in, and it's what they default to as the standard for how they should evaluate the debate. The biggest one that you see in almost every judge philosophy is tech over truth or truth over tech. Another one that you often see is uniqueness determines the direction of a link in a disadvantage, or link determines the direction of the link. All of these are sort of default things that the judge decides what they think is the reality of how debate works. One of these default options for judges that has really, in my opinion, gained popularity in the last 10 years is the idea of judge kick, and whether a judge can kick a position for a debater without them explicitly saying that, or maybe saying it and what that exactly means. So, the base idea behind what judge kick is a judge can evaluate the arguments after the debate, and they can concede different parts of the flow to one side or the other in order to determine their decision. I don't really know where this came from. For me personally, it's something that really started in like the 2011, 2012 debate season. I don't know if this is where it started, but a lot of debaters who went to camp that summer came back making this argument, and I was just like, whoa, what is this? I don't really like this. I'm not sure I agree with it. Let's talk about it. So that's when I sort of first encountered judge kick. And there's sort of a couple of different ways of thinking about it, which is why I wanted to make this video talking about judge kick, how it works, and all sorts of things like that. So what I want to start with is I want to start with just a base example for a scenario of what a judge kick might look like. So let's have a hypothetical affirmative for a second. Let's say the hypothetical affirmative in the debate is Scott should eat a cheeseburger. And the advantage or contention why that is a good thing is because it makes me happy. The negative in this debate could read a disadvantage, and they could read a disadvantage that says if Scott eats a cheeseburger, he will become unhealthy, and if he's unhealthy, that will impact him in such a way that it will decrease his lifespan. So, a simple AF contention, a simple neg contention. Judge kick really comes into the debate when we start to think about counter plans in the debate. So if I had a counter plan in the debate, and that counter plan was, I'm spelling my name wrong now, was Scott should eat a Beyond Meat burger. This counter plan changes this debate because it brings in a different calculus into the debate. It deals with the affirmative. And judge kick very much talks about how these arguments are going to interact with each other. So at the end of the debate, if I say Scott should eat a cheeseburger and he should eat a Beyond Meat cheeseburger at the same time, and the affirmative doesn't answer that in the debate, or the negative doesn't answer that. Let's say that they just drop this permutation in the debate. There's the thought process, now this is a reach, there is a thought process that even if the negative were to lose the counterplan, that they could still win the disadvantage in the debate. The judge kick argument says the judge can kick the counterplan for the other team. So let's say in my NR, I go for Scott should eat a Beyond Meat burger, and that solves Scott's happiness in the debate, but avoids a disadvantage of Scott being unhealthy. If the 2AR in this debate went for a permutation that said Scott should eat a cheeseburger and a Beyond Burger, that would be an example of when we would get into one of these judge kick scenarios. So let's say in this debate that the judge decides that the permutation takes out the counterplan in the debate. Most people would say that since the counterplan is proven insufficient in the debate, and they went for the counterplan in the NR, that the negative has lost the debate. However, the idea of judge kick is that the judge can say, okay, the counterplan is lost. It's no longer a test of competition. It is eliminated from the debate because it is no longer an option. Now, as a judge, I have kicked the counterplan for them, and now I'm going to evaluate whether or not this disadvantage is better than the affirmative in the debate. Now, that could be a very different debate because a lot of these counterplan arguments are likely to interact with the disadvantage in the debate. If the counterplan is kicked by the judge, how does that work in conjunction with this disadvantage? And I think that that is a lot of what these judge kick arguments are saying in the debate. Now, to note, there is a difference between the judge kicking the argument and the debater kicking the argument. So in the NR, if the debater had said, if you think the permutation beats us, it's just a test of competition, which means the counterplan is kicked, goes away, you can vote on the disad outweighs the case, and here's some impact calculus. I personally don't think that's judge kick. I think that is the debater explicitly kicking the counterplan and setting that up for the judge in the debate. Judge kick is when that process is done in the judge's mind without the debaters doing that analysis for them in the debate. So going back to when I was saying that a lot of debaters said this about 10 years ago, I was on a panel and a judge just did this. And they were just like, I just judge kicked this and this. And I'm just like, I don't understand how that works or this process works in the debate, because I personally think that this is kind of an act of intervention. And I want to talk about why I think that that is the case. But again, judge kick is explicitly the judge doing that analysis and then deciding the debate off of things that weren't necessarily said in the speeches. So some of the problems that I have with judge kick. The first problem that I have is that I think that judge kick in and of itself is intervention. I think that the judge inserting just doing the kick and saying, hey, it's a test of competition, so I rejected the counterplan and now I'm evaluating the disad versus the AF. I think that analysis is the judge intervening in the debate and determining that when the debaters didn't necessarily make that. Now, if there was an explicit debater judge choice argument that this could happen, that would be very different than that actually happening in the debate. The other thing that I think is that I think it intervenes in the impact calculus section of the debate, because it talks about how the hypothetical disadvantage that we were talking about, how the disadvantage would outweigh the affirmative instead of the counterplan neutralizing the affirmative and the DA being the net benefit to that. So I think that there's very much the potentiality that this could lead to multiple points of intervention in the debate by the judge. However, a lot of these judges normally answer this line of argumentation by saying, but it's the best policy option. But BPO, well, wasn't the perm the best policy option? Why, with that logic, wouldn't you vote for the AF team on the permutation in the debate? Well, a lot of people answer this by saying, but it's a test of competition, Scott. You can't advocate perms. Perms are just a test of competition. Well, they went for the counter plan in the debate. In the example that we are explaining, this counter plan was the option that was chosen as the policy that the NR went for, and they went for it. How is us beating the option or the best policy option that they've chosen work that same way in the debate? The other thing that I often hear are, but perms aren't a reason to vote AF. You can't vote AF on a perm because it's just a test of competition. I think that one of the things that people don't really conceptualize when they think about debate this way is that perms are a reason to vote against the negative because they're not competitive. Sure, they're not a reason to vote affirmative, but they are a reason to vote against the negative in the debate because the counter plan is not competitive. I think that the other thing that just kind of strikes me is that a lot of judges that want to judge kick in these debates are super tech over truth judges who are super tabula rasa. And I think that this is interesting because I think that judge intervention kind of negates tech over truth to begin with because it intervenes on the technicality of the flow to introduce something that was not made in the debate. Like, if we look at debate from a tech level, this was not technically made in the debate. So definitely a case for intervention, but probably a reason why this would negate tech over truth existing in a lot of these debates. The other reason that I think that this negates tech over truth is that you, as the judge in these debates, if you're the judge, you are asserting that the permutation is a test of competition, and that's why we should reject the argument and not the team. That argument isn't made. That is a truth argument that you think is true that the judge is inserting into that actual debate. Now, a couple of caveats to this that I've been thinking about. First one is, does this really only apply to permutations? Can you only judge kick things, or does judge kick only come up when you have a permutation? I don't know. I didn't really think about this that much, but I definitely think that there's some link level shields the link type arguments or counterplan links to the disad type arguments that would probably also lead to these same type of judge kick scenarios that would be similar enough to permutations. But I think that sort of the whole test of competition portion of judge kick would go out. The thing that I want to conclude with by saying is judge kick is very different from explicit debater kick. So personally, I'm not really a fan of judge kick where the debaters don't say that that's an option in the debate and the judge just does it for many of the reasons that I've mentioned previously. But I think, and I would definitely vote for this in a debate, where debaters explicitly kick that argument. So, for instance, if after they went for the counter plan in the debate, they said, if you think the permutation isn't competitive, then it's a test of competition, the counter plan goes away, then it's the status quo versus the AF. The disad would outweigh the AF in this debate. Do the impact calculus in that debate. I think that that's allowed. That is explicit debater kicking the argument and setting that up as the potentiality of the judge's ballot in the debate. Probably not enough to say, but you could judge kick or but judge kick. I see debaters try to do this all the time. I don't really think that that's like a claim that has a warrant behind that and articulates it enough for me to vote for that in the debate. Maybe that's enough for other people. But I think that I'm definitely on the side of you either have to explicitly debate or kick these things for the judge, or it's really not a thing. But other judges really think that judge kick is a viable option, that they should get to interact with the debate and evaluate it after the debate. So I just wanted to make this video to kind of go over my thoughts on judge kick. Hopefully y'all thought that this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.